All right, welcome back to the podcast, episode 159. Jenny, you see this announcement about Vaidio? Used to be IronYun, right?
Oh yeah, I saw that. Rebranding EH? Seems like everyone's doing it. What's the story here, do you reckon?
Well, it feels like a bit more than just a fresh coat of paint, actually. IronYun's been in the AI vision game for a while, but this shift to Vaidio, it feels like they're really making a statement about leaning into that next wave of AI for video analysis. They're talking about their 9th gen platform and some kind of wild tech.
Okay, 9th gen. That does sound pretty, shiny and futuristic. So what kinds of tech are we talking about? Because AI for video is a pretty broad stroke, right? Could be anything from basic object spotting to, Minority Report stuff.
Laughs. Not quite predicting crimes yet, but getting closer to the system being, more times aware. It's not just about seeing a person or a car anymore. They're bringing in this concept of agentic intelligence and Gen AI capabilities into how the cameras and the system as a whole operate. The camera's actually becoming more, autonomous.
Agentic intelligence? That word, agentic, makes me think of, a secret agent, but for AI? So, the cameras are getting their own little missions now?
Chuckles. Yeah, kind of. Think about the old way. You set up a camera, you hard-code it for a specific job. License plates here, counting bodies there, lots of manual setup. Vaidio says their agentic AI can kinda figure out what the camera time should be doing based on its environment and what needs to be analyzed in that moment. It dynamically rejigs things.
Okay, wow. So, instead of a camera just sitting there doing one static job, it can actually adapt and change what it's analyzing throughout the day? Like, be a traffic camera during rush hour and then somehow flip a switch and start counting pedestrians in the evening?
Precisely. And here's another cool bit. Natural language search. This is where the Gen AI really comes into play, building on a CLIP-based analytic engine, which is pretty cutting edge for this kind of thing.
Natural language search? For video footage? You mean I can talk to the system like, find all the folks in red shirts near the North Gate last Tuesday afternoon?
That's pretty much the idea. Instead of scrolling through hours of video marked by timestamps, you just use descriptive language. They claim this can seriously slash investigation time. Imagine the time saved for, say, a security team, or even retail loss prevention.
Okay, that's actually pretty impressive. I can totally see how that shifts things for anyone who has to pore over surveillance footage. It goes way beyond just object detected to understanding context and details.
Exactly. It's powered by vision language models, basically AI models trained on both visual stuff and text data. That's how they can understand and connect the two, enabling that descriptive search and, frankly, that dynamic camera configuration trick.
All right, these are some big technical concepts. Let's bring it back down to actual examples. Where are they seeing this put to work in the real world?
Good call. The press release mentioned a couple of interesting case studies. One was a sports venue, a pretty big one, handling over 65,000 fans.
65,000 times fans. That's controlled chaos. How does AI vision even begin to help with that kind of situation?
They used it to generate real-time heat maps and analyze crowd flow, especially around high-traffic areas like concession stands and restrooms. By understanding where people were congregating and moving, they reported reducing wait times by as much as, 50%.
50%? Just by watching where people are and seeing where bottlenecks might happen? That's a tangible improvement to the fan experience, for sure. Little things like shorter lines make a big difference.
Big difference. Another example they highlighted was Farmersville Independent School District. They deployed Vaidio for license plate recognition and crowd monitoring, and they saw their security incident resolution time drop by around 30%.
Schools. Yeah, that's a critical area where this tech makes a real impact. Faster response time for security incidents. That's a major win for student and staff safety. So they're seeing genuine results from these more advanced features.
They are. And this is where it contrasts with older, traditional CCTV systems. Those are, stuck in their ways. Fixed cameras, fixed jobs. Vaidio's approach, because of the agentic AI and those VLMs, is just way more flexible and dynamic. It allows for that, switching roles.
So you don't necessarily need a specific piece of hardware or have to manually reconfigure everything for every single task? The software can adapt? That sounds potentially more cost-efficient down the line, especially if you're dealing with a large deployment.
That appears to be a significant part of their pitch. They mentioned deployments scaling from hundreds right up to hundreds of thousands of cameras, and they've partnered with companies like HPE, which makes sense because you need some serious compute power to run these complex AI models on live video streams.
Yeah, HPE's infrastructure would be essential for powering this kind of real-time analysis at scale. So what's next for them? Just more stadiums and schools? Or are they looking at other industries?
Their roadmap includes expanding into other markets. Healthcare, retail, smart cities are all on the radar. Think about healthcare. Maybe monitoring patient flow in hospitals to optimize staffing. Or in retail, analyzing shopper paths to inform store layout or optimize stocking levels.
Healthcare is interesting. Bringing vision systems into healthcare. That immediately brings up some serious ethical questions, doesn't it? Privacy is a huge concern in those kinds of settings.
Undoubtedly. It's a major factor that any company in this space has to address. With more sophisticated surveillance comes concerns about how data is collected, used, and stored. There's also the potential for bias in the AI, which is something the industry is constantly working to mitigate. And ensuring data security is paramount. The sources we looked at didn't go into exhaustive detail on every privacy protocol, but it's a critical part of pushing this technology forward responsibly.
Yeah, trust is absolutely key, especially as these systems become more powerful. And thinking ahead, as Gen AI and this agentic intelligence concept continue to evolve, how might that further change what platforms like Vaidio are capable of?
That's a fascinating question. With ongoing advancements in Gen AI, you could potentially see a shift towards more predictive analysis, not just identifying incidents as they happen, but perhaps even predicting potential situations based on observing complex patterns of activity, or maybe even more autonomous operations, where the system can proactively alert or suggest actions based on observed events, obviously within strict ethical and safety parameters.
Predictive vision, that's nudging towards sci-fi territory, but it feels like a plausible direction for this technology, based on the agentic AI and VLMs we've discussed. This is definitely a space worth keeping a close eye on.
Agreed. Vaidio's rebranding and their 9th-gen platform feel like a significant leap forward in that direction. It's taking AI vision beyond just static detection and really pushing it towards something more intelligent, adaptive, and integrated into operational workflows.
Well, it sounds like Vaidio is positioning themselves for a future where visual data isn't just passively recorded, but actively analyzed and used to make systems smarter and more efficient. Pretty compelling stuff. Thanks for breaking that down, Mark.
Anytime, Jenny. Always good to explore the edges of AI with you.